Yes, I'm Dave Schwartz. This is review for exam number 1, which is going to be Wednesday, and it's going to be on WebAssign. And so I said, I just want to make myself clear. In a recent email, I said that partial credit will be given when deserved for the test. And here's what I mean by that. Because we really can't see your work on WebAssign, we're just going to look at the answers. And if the answers are pretty close to what it should be, you will receive partial credits. Okay, so don't forget to go to math.unm.edu/tilde Kevin B, that typical website which is on the syllabus, to look at exam number 1 review and answers they've got there. So today I just want to go over some questions based on your WebAssign assignments. And so I'll just do some of these problems here. And visit during office hours if you have other questions as well. And here we go. So these are quick derivatives I want to do here. So find the derivative of f of x. The first one is f of x equals the constant 260. There's no x's here. So f prime of x for any constant is equal to 0. So there's the first answer. Second one is a straight power rule. To find the derivative, we're going to do the power rule for derivatives. So you bring down the 12. So let's write f prime of x equals 12x, and then you decrease the power by 1. 12x to the 11th, and we're done. Notice I write f prime of x, indicating derivative. If they ask you to find the derivative of f of x, your final answer should involve f prime of x to show this is the derivative. Okay, to find the derivative of this function, we're going to do the power rule again. So this is going to equal 0.3x, and then 0.3 minus 1 is a negative 0.7, which I would write as 0.3 over x to the positive 0.7, rule of exponents. I intentionally made a mistake here. Can you see my mistake? F of x is equal to x to the 0.3 power. Find the derivative.
Yes, I can see it. There's no f prime of x right there.
Very good, Brother Doug. Brother Doug got it right. F prime of x. So very important. You need to write that. So f prime of x is equal to this, which is now going to be equal to that. So from here to here, I used a rule of exponents. X to a negative power means you can bring it downstairs, and that makes the power positive. So again, 0.3 minus 1 is a negative 0.7, or just negative 0.7. That 0 is optional.
And for fun, I'll do part D. Dave, go ahead and fill me. I'll take the pen, the torch, if you will.
Okay, so this is my twin brother Doug, and he's going to do the next problem.
And again, it's the power rule. So let's bring that 3, bring it over here to multiply with the 4/3. Notice pi is a constant too. R is the variable. What's 3 times 4/3? That's going to be just 4. So let me write f prime of r equals, and again, 3 times 4/3 is just 4 pi r squared. Again, bring that down by 1. Subtract 1. That's how the power rule works. And that's the final answer for that one. Oh, let's do this one. F prime of u.
First rewrite f of x.
What do you mean?
F of u. Rewrite f of u. So sometimes before you take a derivative, you want to make it more derivative
I see
friendly.
what you mean. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's call this, I'll still call it f of u, but let's make it more friendly. Again, radical form, it's better to have it's the equivalent exponential form. So I'm going to write this as f of u equals, I'll take my time here, 16 over u to the 1/2 power. We should feel comfortable going from radical form to exponential form. There's an implied exponent of 1 here, and what's the implied roots or index of a radical if you don't see it? It's assumed to be 2.
For square root.
For square root, the most common radical. And then think of a tree, the roots are on the bottom, so that's why the 2 goes on the bottom in my rational exponents. And let's go ahead and simplify this even more.
Because why use the quotient rule if you don't have to?
Exactly. So let's go f of u equals 16u to the negative 1/2. So it's nice if you feel comfortable with the negative exponents. U to the 1/2 in the denominator is the same thing as u to the negative 1/2 in the numerator. And now we're ready to do the find the derivative. So f prime of u equals, let's do the power rule. What's negative 1/2 times 16? Negative 8 times u to the, what's negative 1/2 minus 1? Negative 1.5 or negative 3/2? And this is a u here, by the way. Should I simplify that negative
Yeah, why
exponent? Okay, why not? F prime of u equals negative 8 over u to the positive 3/2, because we like to see positive exponents. Notice only that u is being raised to the negative 3/2 power, not that negative 8. Okay, well, I'll let my brother take over here. The next one is a bunch of terms. Just take the derivative of each term.
All right, but before we do the derivative, make it friendly. So still f of x. Another name for x cubed on the bottom is to bring it upstairs as x to the negative 3. So rewrite the function when possible to make your derivative easier. You know, instead of using a quotient rule, I'm going to bring the x squared upstairs as x to the negative 2. So by rewriting 3 over x squared as this, we do not need the quotient rule anymore. And likewise, 1 over x, bring it upstairs, so that makes it x to the negative 1. As a check, isn't x to the negative 1 the same thing as 1 over x? And then I'll rewrite the plus 250. So all I did was I rewrote equivalently these terms so that they're more derivative friendly. Because I have not taken a derivative, it's still f of x. Now I'm ready to take the derivative. So f prime of x is equal to negative 3. You bring it down and it multiplies by the 5 in front, which multiplies to a negative 15x decreased by 1. That's the power rule. Negative 3 minus 1 is a negative 4. When I bring down the minus 2, it multiplies with the negative 3 to give me a plus 6x. And don't write negative 1, write negative 3, because what's negative 2 minus 1? Negative 3. And then what am I going to write here? You bring down the minus 1, it multiplies with this negative in front, so it's going to be plus x to the negative 2 plus, what's the derivative of any number, any constant? 0. So you don't even have to write the plus 0. You could just omit that if you want. Either way is fine. And now if the directions say no negative exponents, here comes my final answer. Still f prime of x, so you're allowed to just bring down the equal sign, or if you feel more comfortable, just rewrite that. Okay, and then this is going to be the negative 15, but then x to the negative 4 goes to the bottom as x to the positive 4, plus 6 over x cubed, plus 1 over x squared. So this is my final answer right here. Final answer. Please, please do not get a common denominator and keep on going. Stop here. That's where they want you to stop. Don't go crazy with this stuff. Okay, and now one more derivative problem. We got this function here, and then we're asked to find f prime of 0. So the first step is to find f prime of x. It looks like I'm ready to find the derivative. I'm not going to rewrite f because it's good the way it is. So f prime of x is equal to, when I bring down the 5/4, let me do that over here. What is 5/4 times 4? Think of 4 as 4 over 1. The top 4 cancels with the bottom 4. They become 1s. 5 times 1 is 5 over 1. When you divide by 1, that doesn't change anything. So 5 is the answer. So just write 5x. What's 5/4 minus 1? Let's do that over here. What's 5/4 minus, another name for 1 to get a common denominator is 4/4. What's 5/4 minus 4/4? 1/4. So let's write 1/4. 1/4. That's not a negative. 1.
That's good.
Okay, plus 3/2 times 4.
6.
6x. 3/2 minus 1. Think of 1 as 2 over 2. 1/2. Plus the derivative of 4x is just 4. Okay, and now we want to find f prime of 0. Once you have f prime of x, you input whatever that x is given as, 0. So f prime of 0 equals 5 times 0 to the 1/4 power, plus 6 times 0 to the 1/2 power, plus 4, and that's just going to equal, well, 0 to any power is 0. What's 5 times 0? 0. Plus
0 to any power is 0. This is like the square root of 0. 1/2 power means square root. Isn't the square root of 0, 0? And what's 6 times 0? 0. Plus 4 is always 4. So my final answer is 4. So that's what f prime of 0 is. F prime of 0 is 4. This tells me the slope of the tangent line at x equals 0 is 4. And now finally, let's just do one more question. Let me erase all of this so I get room. This will just take 1 second to erase. Okay. So here's the question. Find the slope m and an equation of the tangent line to the graph of this function f of x equals x squared over x plus 3 at this point 1 comma 1/4. Notice when x is 1, what is f of 1? It's going to be 1 over 4. So that's why this 1/4 is there, because when you input 1 for x, you do get 1/4 for y. So this point is on the graph of this function. We want to find what is the slope of the tangent line at that point. So whenever you're asked to find the slope of a tangent line, that means you want to find the derivative. Derivatives give you slopes of tangent lines. So let me rewrite f of x up here so we can see it better. So f of x was given as x squared over x plus 3. I'm going to change markers now because black shows up better. Okay, so to find the derivative f prime of x, you must use the quotient rule. So it's going to be, here's the way I do it. Low, meaning denominator. Low d high, meaning times derivative of the numerator, minus high d low, all over low squared. So here we go in action. Low is the whole denominator. Make sure you put it in parentheses. Times the derivative of the numerator. There's my low d high. Derivative of x squared is 2x. Always minus high. Since this is just a single term, I don't need parentheses. Times the derivative of the denominator. D low, the derivative of x is 1. The derivative of 3 is 0. 1 plus 0 is just 1. And that's going to be all over the denominator squared. It's tempting to cancel these factors, leaving one of these downstairs, but you can't do that because of this minus sign. You cannot cancel terms. This is a term here. Terms are separated by pluses or minuses. So in this case, what you always want to do is simplify the numerator. Leave your denominator in factored form. So distribute the 2x. So I'm going to go 2x times the x and then the 2x times the 3 for 2x squared plus 6x minus x squared times 1 is just x squared all over x plus 3 squared. And then this is going to equal 2x squared minus x squared is x squared plus 6x over the x plus 3 squared. So this tells me the slope of the tangent line of the graph f for any x. But I want to find the slope of the tangent line at this x. Isn't that the x coordinate of our given point? All points are x comma y. So once you know what f prime of x is, we now want to write f prime of 1. This will tell me the slope of the tangent line to this function at this point where x is 1. So wherever you see x's, write 1s. So in your final answer, write f prime of 1 equals, go to this expression right here, and let's write 1 squared plus 6 times 1 over 1 plus 3 squared. Simplifying, we get 1 plus 6 times 1, over 1 plus, do the work in the parentheses. 1 plus 3 is 4. And what's 4 squared? 4 times 4 is 16. So we get 7/16. So this is my slope m. 7/16 is the slope of the tangent line. So now they want us to write the equation. To write the equation of a tangent line, remember all lines can be written in this form. Y equals mx plus b. So I like to do slope-intercept form to write the equation of a line. You could also do point-slope form. So if you like this form, which most people seem to prefer, you have to find b. The only way to find b is if you fill in for x, y, and m. Well, we know x and y from the point, and we know m from the slope.
So for y, write 1/4, the y coordinate. For m, write 7/16. Times x, write 1. And then plus b, that's what we're looking for. Simplifying, I get 1/4 equals 7/16, because 7/16 times 1 is still 7/16, plus b. And now to get b by itself, just subtract 7/16 from each side. So these cancel, so I get b by itself is equal to, what is 1/4 minus 7/16? Well, let's get a common denominator of 16. Doesn't 4 go into 16 4 times? So I'm going to multiply this by 4, but whatever you do downstairs, you got to do upstairs. So what's another name for 1/4? 4/16. So think of this as 4/16 minus 7/16. Minus 7/16. And that's going to be a negative 3/16. So that's what b is. b is a negative 3/16. Now that I know what b is, you go back to this form, and we're 98% done. So for your final answer, leave x as x and y as y, because the line has an infinity of points, x comma y. So just fill in for m and b. So here's my final answer. This is the equation of the tangent line. Equation of tangent line. It's going to be y equals m was 7/16. X is just going to be x. And then b is negative. So instead of writing plus, write minus 3/16. And we are done with that problem. Done.